see me and Kevin, I didn't even have them do headphones.
I saw that.
I was just like thinking about the clusterfuck of them trying to get them on. And all right, you good to go?
I'm good to go.
All righty. Welcome back to another episode of 217 South Mills.
Brought to you by Cabin Coffee Altoona, located at 2922 Meadowlark Lane in Altoona, Wisconsin.
And Pizza Del Rey, located at 911
North Hastings Way.
North Hastings Way. I almost said South. North Hastings Way in Eau Claire. Pizza Del Rey, our favorite pizza place in the state of Wisconsin.
I'm gone for one freaking week because I'm in suspension from HR, and you forget the damn address.
So first off, we're glad to have Joe back.
Yeah, you can't hold me down.
We had to do a lot of fighting with HR. We had brought HR into 217 Studio. Had to have a lot of meetings, which neither one of us like, but we got approval.
I'm back on
back. Yeah.
I'm only allowed a certain amount of swear words apparently, and that even includes when I don't think we're on the air. I still have to.
I forgot to
sign a clause.
I'm glad you said this. I had a hysterical thing for you that I actually forgot to do, and this was from my bookmaker in Florida. Brought up this idea, so I'll give him the credit. I was going to put a sign on my garage door for when you walked in that said, by reading the sign and entering through this door, you acknowledge that you are video and audio recorded 24/7 inside the studio.
Yep.
All right. So to the show, as always, we're talking NIL, we're talking collective, we're talking money, we're talking the lack of rules in college sports right now. And obviously we have our staff here in the studio constantly digging, trying to find stuff. And they found an article, they sent it to us. And I tried looking into it. Nobody's reporting on this, Joe.
Nope.
Just like we say every week, we're the only podcast, the only news source, the only sports arena that's reporting on this information. So what basically just came out, we had mentioned maybe 2-3 shows ago about colleges being allowed to pay $20 million. But we didn't really know where the money's coming from, who's getting paid, how they're getting paid. So basically what this article, and this is from Front Office Sports, says is it's revenue sharing, that there was a settlement from the NCAA that is going to allow schools to pay $20.5 million to athletes. Now, here's the kicker. It says everything from football players to swimmers. Right. Now, I'm assuming it's a different percentage per athlete. Obviously, you might have the quarterback on the football team making $1 million, right, and the swimmer making $1,000 or something. Right. I don't know how that's going to work, but they say in the next 10 years that number is going to grow to over $30 million in the next 10 years, and that's a cap, not in the sense of cap for what they're allowed to spend on athletes, but that's a cap for what the school has to pay for revenue that the school makes based off of sports, right, which. Rightfully so. We've said this for years. The jerseys in the stands, the TV money, the bowl game money, all that stuff. It's just out of control. And we've been saying this week after week. I keep saying I sound like a broken record, but I said last week, there's not a yield sign. There's not a stop sign. There's not even a speed bump on this road ahead of us. There's no talk about a potential rule in the future. And I think just something simple we brought up last week. Why not just start off with, for the 2025 season, you can now only transfer once. Agreed. Give everybody a clean slate. Even if you've transferred 5 times already, you get one transfer and the portal's done for you.
And I really think basically what this is doing, we've talked about how, I've said this forever, I always said that college football is the most pure form of the sport. You're not paying for a paycheck. You're not paying for this. And I am now eating crow on that because it's always been a multi-million-dollar business, and now it's just growing and growing and growing, and it solidifies what we've been saying this whole time. Name, image, and likeness, the NIL, the transfer portal, and it's the wild, wild west. There are no rules to any of this stuff, and there's no accountability. We can't find information online, and again, I fire up my Google machine, and we can't find the information.
There's nothing out there.
I can find any other thing I've ever wanted to look out, no matter what it is.
You go on the internet, and it's got everything. It's got every detail. But yes, we do have the details in the studio. going a little nuts because the phone went off.
I had HR following me here, so we put him on the guard now.
Maybe HR is showing back up.
That's the problem right now.
Here's the deal. The show must go on. I'm raising a cord here so the dogs don't trip it, which they almost knocked our very valuable camera down. That would have been a great ending to the show. But all right, so back at it with the money. I agree with you. Everything about sports, it was the amateurism in sports, just like the Olympics. And yes, just like the Olympics, there's a lot of money involved, but it was pure because it was amateurs.
Correct.
And now, like you were finishing up with, is there's nothing. Everything is undisclosed.
Right.
It's rare to find somebody's contract or their NIL deal or how much, rightfully so. I mean, if there's no rules or reason saying that you have to divulge it, I wouldn't divulge it either. But with all this money going around, so here's something I just realized. It says the future on collectives is uncertain. And one of the things in the settlement, it says the settlement would require a third-party operator to approve all $600 plus NIL deals from school-affiliated entities. If the operator believes the deals are above the, quote, fair market value for the player's NIL rights, the deal would be blocked. So first off, I say, really? Are we real? Like, because there is no regulation, why doesn't Joe Blow just pay the athlete directly or pay the athlete's agent? Like,
right.
What's going to force them to go through this quote-unquote clearinghouse? Number two, the reason I stuck with, I was like, why such a low number? The reason it's $600, anything $600 or more has to be reported to the IRS.
Right.
I almost wonder, once again, I'm surprised the IRS hasn't come out with a statement. Like, all of a sudden, you have an industry with essentially, say, I don't know, I'm just going to pick a number, 20,000 athletes that are quote unquote employees that make $0 an hour and $0 salary.
Mm-hmm.
And in the course of a couple of years, now it's billions of dollars going to these people. How does the IRS not step in and just be like, whoa, we want a seat at this table because we're owed, 30 to 40% of this billions of dollars going around. But that's why that number is $600. I guarantee it's because of taxes. But I wrote the word really down, like, who's going to report it? Because once again, it goes back to just no rules. So is there a penalty if you don't do it? What if player ABC gets $700 and doesn't report it? Does he get suspended? Does he lose the scholarship? I mean, if we worked and got $5 an hour, we lost the scholarship. That was the rule. That was the penalty.
Correct.
There's no rule, no penalty.
Well, here's my big thing. Who's going to be the third party?
That's another.
You tell me who's going to be the third party that's going to be going to be a neutral and have no skin in the game, etc. You're not going to find it.
And that's the thing too is, they say what was the quote? The players' NIL value. If the deals were above the players' NIL market value,
fair market.
So there's companies out there that work with HR. Say Cabin Coffee's hiring a manager. There's a company you could go to and be like, it's a coffee shop. These are the hours. These are responsibilities.
Yep.
They go based off of the market, based off your location, what your responsibilities are. This is what the going rate is for a salary. Well, so you're able to compare that to probably thousands of other like jobs in the same industry.
Mm-hmm.
How do you compare a person's, and I know we use the term NIL, name, image, and likeness, but it is not NIL. It is pay to play.
Right.
So if a billionaire wants a quarterback to win a national championship, if Phil Knight wants the better guy to come in at quarterback to help Oregon, and we'll get to Oregon getting their asses kicked.
Yep.
But if Phil Knight wants to do it, what's to say the kid's not worth $20 million?
Right.
Like, who are we putting those hands on to say you get to make the decision?
Right.
How does that ruler work? How does that scale work to say, oh, this guy's only worth 1,000, but this guy's worth $7.5 million?
Right.
Like, are you comparing it to the NFL? Because these guys are making more money than the NFL.
Right.
Like, Bryce Underwood, mark my words for the listeners out there, because in the last 20 years, the NFL instituted a rookie salary cap. So because owners were upset that you're paying rookies, they were getting like $150 million deals, and they never took a snap in the NFL.
Right.
Now we're doing the same exact thing to high school kids going into college. Bryce Underwood has never taken a college snap. And I guarantee this year alone, mark my words, for the 2025 football season, he will make over $10 million. We know about one contract that's a 3-year, $12 million, $4 million per year. That's the only one we know about. We don't know about, I guarantee already today he's got 20 other deals. They might not all be that big, but I guarantee in 2025, he is going to make over $10 million.
It's insane amount of money, especially I look back at our age when I was 18, 19, 20-year-old, and I was in completely a dumb shit. And, to have that kind of money, again, we talked about how stupid we would be and the amount of trouble we would have gotten to. And like I said, as of right now, there's no rhyme, there's no reason. It's who has the most clout, who has the most money. And now, for example, when we were recruited to go to college, we went to I had coaches come over and we had conversations. They came to the house. Coach Alvarez and Coach John Palermo came over. They talked to us, etc. Ate with my family. We listened to their personalities. The selling point was the coach.
Yeah,
that's what it was. That's who I bought into.
Yep.
Now, in this day and age, I'm going to walk into you. If you recruited me, I said, okay, right now I'm offered this much from this school, this much from this school, this much from this school.
What are you going to do?
What are you offering me?
There's going to be schools like Danny the Greek we met down in Florida. They're not sending the coach. They're sending Danny the Greek with a duffel bag.
Yeah.
And he's like, here's what we can do.
And so my loyalty to the state of Wisconsin when I played here is no longer on the table because I don't give a crap. I want to know how much you're going to pay me because this is what I'm worth.
And it sounds horrible, but that's what they've turned it into. That's what they've allowed. And it's getting it. People don't understand. It is getting worse by the day. Every day that goes by that we're not even mentioning a potential rule in the future, it's just getting worse.
And I don't think we've had this friendship for 30 years. Are you able to establish those kind of friendships anymore? Or is it more like, well, I got paid here and we'll see you later and I'm getting paid more money than you, Bill. So you're going to be jealous of me automatically or vice versa. Like, hey, well, screw you. Like,
well, when you were on your involuntary leave, Kevin and I were talking, what if you're a guy that goes to 5 schools? Where do you go back to? We have a family that we were a part of at Wisconsin. He has a family that he was a part of at Bowling Green. We have our high school families that we were a part of. Where do you go? That guy that we talk about, that tight end from Miami that was in his 9th year, I think it was like his 6th school in 9 years. Right. Where does that guy go for a reunion? Do you just go to a different school every year? Maybe like, hey guys, did I play with you guys the 1 year I was here? And now with the, just the 2 more years of JUCO, the kids being as old as the potential. And Kevin brought up, I believe it was last week or 2 weeks ago, that schools are debating selling the school's rights. And it's almost like hedge fund companies are going to come in and be like, I'm going to buy Wisconsin. We'll give you, we see your numbers, we see your income and your expenses. We'll keep you positive with your financials, but then we make everything on top of that. Right. We're going to try and renovate you and build you into something bigger and better. But schools, I think that's a possibility. I brought up the education. I'm going to triple down on it. I think education's done with. If we allow money, I think once the amateur's gone, what's the reason for education? You're not a student athlete. One, I think women should be happy because Title IX will get more money. Other athletes should be happy because there will be more money for scholarships in clubs or schools that don't normally give out scholarships in certain sports. But why, if it's a business, they should be doing their sport 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
If you'd like fresh roasted cabin coffee delivered directly to your door, go to Cabin Coffee Altoona's Facebook page or 217 South Mills Facebook page. Click on the coffee order form link, fill it out, pick out your beans, and get them delivered directly to your front door. Cabin Coffee Altoona.
At what point in time does this not become collegiate football? And we talk about semi-pro. And then when are we going to start having farm leagues? They have them in baseball. They have them in hockey. Will what is currently the Division I football right now become a farm league for the NFL?
Yeah, absolutely. A true farm league, yes, where the money, because they already are, but yes, truly where the money's there and there's different levels, which we do have different divisions right now, which we have the nicknames. We weren't happy with Division I, Division I AA, 2 and 3. We got FBS, FCS. I still get confused on which is which for 1 and 1 AA. I had a brain fart.
Farm league.
Yeah. The NFL is the next thing. I think that's the only entity that's going to be able to step in to institute rules, because the organization that's going to lose money over this is the NFL.
Right.
If these kids are taking a pay decrease to leave college and go to the NFL, like something's wrong.
And do you foresee, knowing that you played in the NFL and knowing
They're
how
not.
the NFL,
No, I know where
do
you're
you
going
think
there.
they're in the business of losing money?
Yeah. Nor are they going to increase. I mean, they already increased dramatically as the years go on, but they are not going to spend a penny more than they have to.
Right.
And once again, now the NFL is unionized. That's collectively bargained, which this is something they are not allowing the athletes. They don't want to get into that. That is one thing where they put their foot down.
Right.
They're like, hey, we're going to allow kids to make all this money. We're going to allow billions that we don't know where it's coming from, don't know where it's going to. But the one thing they're putting their foot down is they don't want unionization in college, which with all the craziness going on, I'd almost want a listener or follower to reach out to us and explain why they wouldn't want that. You think it'd be a little bit more organized, but they don't want it. I don't think the players give two shits because they're making money hand over fist. But yeah, I think the NFL is going to step in at some point because you're going to lose talent. What's nice is the kids that never would make the NFL, like Kevin brought up, they are going to make their bag in college. Right. But you're going to see a class. You're going to have that class of individuals that always want to be the best. And they're always in every generation. Those kids, it doesn't matter how much money they make, just like the Tom Brady's, the Aaron Rodgers, the Brett Favre's, they're going to want to keep playing and put their name in the record books and try to be known as the best to ever do it.
Right.
But that middle class that could play in the NFL, if somebody makes 10, 20 million in college, with all the talk about bodies, when they see us trying to stand up or walk, all the talk about CTE, what if they say, you know what? I made 10 million. I made 20 million. I played for 4 years, won a national championship, whatever. Yep. I'm going to call it quits. I'm going to buy a couple businesses, going to, travel the world, whatever. Why not?
And be set up for life just by playing.
Why go be put through hell at the NFL, playing more games, making less money? I don't know. It's
again, and we're the only ones seem to be talking about this because we can't find shit about it online.
Yeah, no reporter wants to stand up and say, ask a question about it.
Why not?
Why don't you knock on the NCAA? They have 600 employees. We said, why don't you go knock on their main office and be like, I'd like to ask somebody. Maybe we should go there with the camera crew.
I'm already in trouble with HR. I'm gonna get my ass thrown out of there now.
And we are working too. I figured out. We're going to dive a little deeper for a second about getting you into the transfer portal. So I did find an article on how to. It was like there should almost be a YouTube on how to do the transfer portal. We cannot do it as individuals. The school has to do it. So I'm going to reach out. There's a department at Wisconsin I have to reach out to. Okay. And I have to tell them, you still have 2 years of eligibility. You are considered a graduated senior. Okay. Now, the one thing that you are no on is you are not on scholarship. Right. And my thing is, you don't even need a scholarship. I mean, as long as the NIL money follows you with the school, but the school has to put you after we notify them, they'll have 2 days to put your name in the portal. But now with the portal windows, we have to wait till that portal window opens up.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, can I extend that 2 years out? Because I could probably do a transfer in there somewhere, maybe.
Well, you could transfer. Well, that's the portal, but it's 2 years. You have 2 years eligibility. 2 years. Yeah. Okay. So if you're on a school for now, unless you want to go JUCO,
that's what I'm saying.
You could go JUCO for the first 2 years.
I do 4 years.
Yes, you could. Huh. I just don't know how much money we could get you NIL at the JUCO level as opposed to at a big school. But my point is, I just want to do it to prove how stupidly insane this is, because I truly believe, as long as it's somebody that doesn't know me and believes we're 100% on board, I think they have to do it. Because you have eligibility and there's no age limit. There's no, it's been this many years. Like, there's 7,000 kids in the portal. Here's another question for any reporters out there. How do you interview one of the kids? I guarantee there's kids in the portal that have been sitting in the portal for the last 4 years that haven't got 7,000 kids. There's kids coming out of high school every year. If they could afford it, like me and you both knew guys that couldn't give up the dream, that kept going, like after college, going to another practice squad. Now, when we played at the NFL level, you could only be on a practice squad for, I think it was 2 years or 3 years, where now it's either unlimited or they've raised it dramatically. But we knew players that were signed and cut from 7-8 different teams because they couldn't give it up. Right. So, I mean, if somebody doesn't want to give it up, especially if their family has money or they're currently on an NIL deal, just sit there, keep working out till the right team. But I guarantee there's guys in there. If there's 7,000 players and this number grows every year, there's guys in there that haven't been on a team for more than a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years.
Here's my question. I wonder about the transfer portal. Do you think athletes are entering the transfer portal and not have any idea, or are they entering the transfer portal already with the idea and an offer on the
Knowing
table?
their school. So I think the top half know the school they're going to and the amount of money they're going to get before they enter.
Okay.
I think the bottom half are like, this is a shitty situation. I got to get out, try something else.
Gotcha.
They enter, and then
Should make sense.
because I don't think you could legally be recruited until you're in the portal.
Okay.
Now, obviously, me and you both know that's happening nonstop. That's happening 365 days a year. Like, there are blackout periods where schools aren't allowed to contact, but that's not being held up. So other news we have here is, and this I believe was in the last, 2 weeks, but don't quote me. One of the deals we did find an NIL deal on was freshman Darian Mensah, former Tulane quarterback, was a number 7 transfer quarterback in the transfer portal, received a 2-year, $8 million deal from Duke. So going into 2025, this has him as the highest paid player. Now, granted, we don't know that many contracts, but of the contracts, $4 million a year, I mean, he's at least on par with Bryce Underwood. I'm sure Bryce is making more money, but it's undisclosed. But yeah, it's just stuff like this that's out there. It's like people don't. I think the majority of people are either brushing it off like, oh, it's yesterday's news, or they're just thinking scholarship athletes are making more money because they deserve to make more money.
You know, and if you look further down in this thing, it's a report also indicated that Washington State transfer QB John Mateer, the number 1 overall pick in the portal, received in a similar neighborhood.
Yeah.
But we don't know what that is.
Exactly. Yeah. Because there's no rules that say they
What's
your
definition of similar? Is similar. Like,
I mean, it's definitely a good chunk of millions. You know, like
I just cannot believe in this day and age with the technology that we have that we cannot find. Just here's what it is.
Not even that we can't find it, that there's no rule that says it has to be disclosed.
Sure.
I mean, I could find out how much a professor makes at the University of Wisconsin because they're a state school. I could find out how much a teacher or the principal makes at my children's high school because they're publicly or funded by the government. How do we not know how many millions of dollars these kids are making?
Did they have your salary posted?
Oh yeah, NFL, they posted in USA Today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like we all knew it wasn't hidden.
Yeah,
but this is
I can find any coach's contract and how much money they're making. I can find out how much their side deals are, what car company they're working with, what radio station they're getting paid from. But these college kids are making millions. We know nothing.
Yeah, well, we're going to keep unraveling this onion until we find out. And again, it's going to be hard to find out because it's so new. It's like the Wild West, and no one's talking about it.
It is. Nobody other than 217. So now the college football playoffs, things finally started heating up. And here's the one thing I got to say. This is another detriment to this whole paying athletes and the transfer portal. So you have 2 segments. You have the college football playoffs, which the first round sort of stunk. We were proven correct.
Weird.
Boise State, SMU should have never been there.
Never been there.
And dog shit teams at best. They played 1 AA teams. They play in a weak conference. Everything you want to play with, like, what do they say? You want to be with the big dogs. You know, you want to be pissed like a puppy, stay on the porch. If you want to be a big dog, join a big conference.
Right.
And it's going to come down to, it was the Power 5. Now it's like Big Ten, SEC. SEC now, don't even open your fucking mouth. Once everybody else got to pay players, you are done. Any SEC fan out there, love history because now that everybody else could pay. I'm not saying that Alabamas and Georgias are going to fall off the ledge. They're good programs, but they also have big backing. So they are going to – but now that you're not the only one paying, boy, oh boy, this playing field got really even, really even. But a couple things we saw – the Texas-Arizona State game, I actually turned it on in the 4th quarter. Arizona State was losing, and I was like, shit, like a game this far in, like I was hoping to see a good game, and all of a sudden, Arizona State made a comeback. The running back, Scabuto, we did a post on him on our social media, and this kid, I mean, he's a short, stocky running back and a white guy. Not that that matters, like the Seinfeld. Not that it matters, but he is. And he's the type of guy that coaches talk about when it comes time to give somebody a scholarship or it comes time to cut somebody at the professional level. He's the guy that gives coaches sleepless nights because I don't care if he's not the right size or he's not fast enough. This kid, I think he ran for 145 yards. He caught a 66-yard touchdown. He threw a touchdown pass. This kid's puking in like the third quarter like a fire hose. And he just leaves it all out there.
Yep.
I mean, that kid was a beast.
He reminds me of a Julian Edelman or like a
Yes.
Wes Welker
Yes.
kind of guy that
Yeah.
he can do so much, and he is such a threat no matter where you put him.
And I imagine him too, with all the qualities he has at running back, that he's the type of guy in practice, if they need an extra guy on kickoff, he's running out there with the scout team.
Oh.
Like that just seems like the attitude of this kid doing anything to win. But so that turned out to be a good game. There were some questions at the end. You know, we bring up like, is the NFL rigged? Are officials doing this and that? There was a questionable call where I think they could have called pass interference at the end of the game and they didn't. People are saying they didn't because they wanted Texas to win. But I believe all the underseeds, all the lower seeds won. All the teams that got a first round bye lost. Which just proved everything we talked about leading up to the playoffs. That, you know, a team like Boise State that wins the Mountain West shouldn't be in the playoffs to begin with. Absolutely should not get a bye. And then Ohio State kicking Oregon's ass.
Yes.
I'll even say I was happy because it was a Big Ten school.
Yep.
I was happy because Oregon with Phil Knight, you know, having $1 billion backer. But it's sort of like screwed with my mind, like seeing that loss against Michigan and being like, have we been told to lie here about Ohio State? But man, oh man, like there was talk. I was at the Packer game and hanging with some former players, and there was a discussion, could Ohio State play in the NFL right now? And we're like, yeah, they could probably beat some of these NFL teams. Like they are just ripping and roaring.
If you'd like fresh roasted cabin coffee delivered directly to your door, go to Cabin Coffee Altoona's Facebook page or 217 South Mills Facebook page. Click on the coffee order form link, fill it out, pick out your beans, and get them delivered directly to your front door. Cabin Coffee Altoona.
The game I'm excited for is a Penn State Notre Dame.
Yep.
That's going to be a barn burner. I think that was a game that I grew up watching all the time, being in Pennsylvania. Obviously, my community was Irish and Italian, so all the Irish people like Notre Dame, all the Italians like Penn State. But obviously, you know, I hate Penn State now. And we know the Spindlers, Rocco Spindler plays for Notre Dame, so it's going to be exciting to watch a kid that he grew up in Michigan, but his dad grew up in my hometown, Mark Spindler. It's going to be exciting to watch him in the game, and hopefully they pull out a win. Now, the biggest winner out of the whole college football playoffs, though, is Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So, like we talk about with money, and obviously college football is a business, all these schools have to give that money to their conference, then it gets split up. Right. So, like when we won Rose Bowls, like I used to tell people, our back-to-back Rose Bowls, I didn't say we made at Wisconsin, I think it was $25 million, both of them together, but we brought in $25 million. So you get all the bowl games, that puts money in the pool. You get the Big Ten Network, that puts money in the pool. Then it gets divided up equally. So all the schools, whether you suck that year or you win the conference, you're all still making the same amount of money. Well, Notre Dame, that they're independent, they get all the money. So far, Notre Dame has made $14 million just off the college football playoffs.
But again, double-edged sword, because let's look back to when we were in the 90s. Notre Dame wasn't a great school.
Yep.
And so they're getting
zero
money.
They're not sharing.
They aren't sharing. They're getting zero.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's basically you're playing poker. You know what I mean? So either
when you win, you win huge.
It's
when
feast or famine.
Yes.
I mean, honestly. So as a fan of Notre Dame, I grew up loving Notre Dame. I did not go there, had the opportunity to go there. But, good for them. And
there's still more money on the horizon. So for this next week's game, they make $6 million. Then if they make it to the national championship, they make another $6 million. So they're guaranteed to have made $20 million out of the playoffs. And if they make the national championship, they'll make $26 million out of going to the playoffs. That's insane.
It is insane.
Insane, but at the same time, too, you got a kid at Michigan that's probably making more as not even the starter yet, as a quarterback on the roster.
It's unbelievable. Money.
You know,
hey, Bill, follow the money.
Follow the money.
Follow the freaking money.
Yep. My guy Craig I was with this week, he goes, follow the money. I go, well, I'd like to, but it's not out there to follow it anywhere because there's no rules that say people have to disclose it. So speaking of yesterday, the Packer game, the Packers lost to the Bears. Mm-hmm. It was one of those, watching it, I was watching with a lot of former players, and the talk was, did they just roll their helmets out there thinking it's the Bears.
Yep.
And I looked up, the Bears had not beat the Packers since 2018, which that's crazy.
Yep.
But did they just say, hey, we're playing the 4-12 as of yesterday, Bears, and we're going to get a win. We're playing our starters, which is another decision. I mean, I do know yesterday it came down to the Redskin, and they are the Redskins, and should be going back to the Redskin-Cowboy game and the Packer game, depending on where the Packers were going to play. With that, so we played our starters. With that being said, Jordan Love gets hurt and Watson gets hurt. Packers lose 22-24 to the Chicago Bears. Malik Willis looked good as always.
Yep.
I mean, that kid, he has turned his career around. He was 10 for 13, 136 yards. He did have a fumble, but he was launching that ball downfield. He was making plays when he had to. What was I going to say? The Brandon McManus field goal kick. So I had the luxury of being upstairs in the box. All of us bent our heads sideways. His kick, it was a 55-yard field goal to put the Packers up 22-21 with 54 seconds left. It was like a line drive, Joe. It wasn't a question, was it going through the uprights? It was a question, was it going to be above or below the bar? It was literally a line drive kick for 55 yards. So that was crazy. Then the Bears kicker, Santos, ends up with, I think, 2 seconds on the clock.
50.
Or here, before that, me and you were talking about it, Caleb Williams.
Yep.
So we bashed on this guy. And the joke in the box upstairs, former player to former player, was, we're all like, didn't you paint your nails when you were playing? We were all just cracking jokes about him. And yeah, at times in the game, he played like a rookie.
Yep.
And that's what I thought going into it. I really thought the Packers are going to win this game for a multitude of reasons, one of which, Caleb Williams, his attitude, the Bears' attitude, the coaching attitude, everything about that organization, and you're playing in Green Bay, and the cold. Mm-hmm. Caleb Williams has never played in a game that cold, never played in an environment like that before. And you did see the rookie side of him. The biggest time I saw the rookie stand out was on the last drive where they had to get in field goal range. I think it was the first play that they have one timeout in their pocket. First play of the drive, I see him rolling out, and I say in my head, there's the rookie mistake. He's taking a sack as opposed to throwing it incomplete, stopping the clock. He got lucky. We get called with a horse collar tackle.
Yep. Stops
the clock, 15 yards. Then from making a rookie mistake, which turned out in his benefit, come on, Rocky. Rocky's messing up our studio. From making the rookie mistake, he ends up making a throw to put him in field goal range. And even there, and LaFleur even said after the game, he was disappointed in himself, and he was something about unsure on how to handle the situation, and something like that in his quote. They played a prevent defense.
That was the dumbest thing they could have done.
You're not trying to defend a touchdown. If that's what you were doing, I understand.
Right.
Throw the ball in the middle of the field, hope the clock runs out.
They don't need a freaking touchdown. They need a freaking field goal.
And you gave them a wide open area in the middle of the field with 15 seconds on the clock. He got it done in 13.
Yep.
It wasn't like there was 1 second. It wasn't like it almost hit zero.
Right.
There was 2 seconds on the clock. We're in a 2-minute drive. 2 seconds is huge. He got, as soon as I saw him scramble, saw the guy get open, I'm like, they're going to complete this. And me and you both know you train every single week, running your offense off, running your field goal unit on, and doing it in the amount of time of the play clock. And they did it. They got him out there, kicked the field goal, boom, game over.
Not only that, you do a 3-man rush. Come on.
It was prevent to a T.
It was exactly
what are you doing? You got a rookie back there that you are constantly on him.
Yep.
Just play everybody straight up.
Yeah, it was.
Play a 2 deep coverage if you want to, but this prevent. I mean, the safeties were back 30 yards.
Yeah, and all I needed was 15. Yeah, holy crap!
It was crazy.
The coaching they gave them, and that was just stupidity on the coaching staff. That was just. And you're sitting here as a fan going, especially you and me, were when you were at the game, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
And exactly.
And in the box, everyone's you just hear the prevent. Why are we doing a prevent defense? We're attacking this guy nonstop, making him make mistakes.
Yes, and he's making mistakes. Yes. He took the damn sack.
Yes. I agree. I agree. But then the funny thing after, I didn't even see it until social media. The Bears kicker, Santos, after he kicked the game-winning field goal, ran to the end zone, tried to do a Lambeau leap, and people were aggressive. It wasn't like they blocked them. It wasn't like they're get up. They're throwing forearms.
Yes.
And one woman looked
that
pissed
one lady
off.
was very
she was
heated.
pissed.
Yeah, she was taking her frustrations out on the kicker.
Yes.
Which, there you go.
For sure. All right. So in other news, our 217 South Mills studio did some research and found a new lawsuit. And we just wanted to bring it up. We don't know. It's just alleged as of right now. But Skip Bayless and others are being sued on 14 counts, one of which included is sexual battery.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I think people obviously make poor choices. It's hard to say that this is all fake with some of the detail we read. And not to get into it, if this is legit, you can't be making stupid decisions.
And not only that, I mean, it's a former Fox Sports hairstylist alleges that, and again, like, why is this still freaking happening?
Yes.
That's the question.
Yes. And basically, without getting into it, because we do know it's just alleged as of right now.
Right.
But one of the alleged deals is that there was an offer of $1.5 million to do certain acts.
Yeah.
And you offer somebody $1.5 million.
Right.
You better have them sign an NDA. And even that,
right,
your only recourse is if they talk to sue them. So just don't make poor decisions. But I'm not happy because nobody should do this, or if it's not true, nobody should ever accuse somebody of this. But Skip Bayless, I've never liked that dude.
Right.
And here's my thing, and I'll just stick to this to the day I die. The reason we're good and people enjoy our talks is because we did it.
Right.
We're telling our side, our opinions from somebody who did it. Skip Bayless, I've always hated him. I hated him with who's the guy that does the show with Ocho Cinco now, played for the Broncos.
Shannon
Sharp.
Yep.
And he'd always get on Shannon Sharp's ass. And I'm like, shit, that's Shannon Sharp.
Yep.
And they'd get into it back and forth. And I think Skip Bayless is almost like a lawyer.
Yep.
Like, he knows how to talk. He knows how to, like, manipulate, stuff like that. And I looked into it. Skip Bayless, like most reporters, was never an athlete. He played baseball and basketball in high school. And I just want to put out there for the world, because I dislike Skip Bayless with or without this alleged incident. He averaged 1.4 points per game his senior year of high school in basketball. Okay. That's the guy that people are buying into. Yep. Being like, I'm going to believe him with what he says about sports. Now, I think just like the mainstream media, shit's going to change in that world where they're going to go away from like woke networks that want to push out agendas and go to actually people reporting, telling stories, telling what happened, telling opinions, not saying this is what our multi-billion-dollar industry wants you to believe.
Not your own, not the company's agenda, but actually like something you and me do.
Yeah.
Like, give the honest opinion, and here's the reason why.
Yep.
So I agree. Like you said, do better, people. Seriously, like, we're still having this freaking problem.
So lastly, we got two stories. You want to start with yours and mine?
With mine.
While you were on involuntary leave, I was like, we were wrapping up the end of the year, and I'm like, let me just Google some crazy stories that happened in 2024. And here's the two. We'll start with yours and then go to mine.
All right. School lunch lady in Harvey, Illinois, pleads guilty to stealing $1.5 million worth of chicken wings, Bill.
That was insane. When I saw that, everything from like a lunch lady, the number 1.5 million, and that it was chicken wings. I was like, so here's right where my mind went. Whether she's innocent or guilty, I go right to where are the wings? Like, follow the money.
Follow the wings.
Follow the wings. Where are they?
Right.
And was she showing up to BW3s with a cooler truck?
Hold on. It's not BW3s anymore. It's old school. You can't say that.
So you know what the kids say now that I learned? Buffs.
Buffs.
I go, what are we talking about, Colorado?
Yeah.
They're like, no, Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm like, it's BW3.
BW3. It always will be.
So for anybody out there, BW3 is
anyway, she allegedly ordered more than 11,000 cases of chicken wings from the school's district's food provider and then picked up the order in a district cargo van.
But then, like, where do you take 11,000 cases?
Well, obviously, if it fit in a cargo van.
I'm thinking it fit in multiple. I don't think you could. Like, let's think of this. You know a little bit about food storage and stuff like that. What's a case of wings?
You're going to need a commercial cooler.
Like, I'm thinking a case of wings is bigger than a shoebox, correct?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think we could fit 11,000 shoeboxes in the studio.
No, probably not.
So, like, did she rent a freezer? Like, it's just, there's a list of, I have more questions for her than I do the NCAA right now. It's mind blowing.
I wish we could find out what her name is. Maybe we could reach out to her.
Maybe she can be our first Zoom interview guest.
I was actually hoping maybe she could bring us some chicken wings in too.
Obviously, we'd have to say, like, we'd like to have you on the show. We're going to support you, but you got to come with wings.
You got to come with wings.
You can't show up empty-handed.
Right.
So the other story I found, which once again is crazy. So this story came out December 24th, Christmas Eve. A FedEx driver who's from Alabama, but he happened to be delivering in Florida, Bonifay, Florida. He ended up getting arrested for dumping undelivered packages in the woods. He backed his truck up to the woods and just started dumping packages out of his truck. So far, as of around the first of the year, officials found 44 packages and they allowed them all to be delivered to the rightful owner. But his quote was something to the effect when he got interviewed by police. He goes, "Man, the hours were just getting so long." I'm like, dude, change jobs.
Right.
Like, you're dumping people's Christmas presents into the woods.
I ordered a ladder and a vacuum cleaner, and I never got them. They may be in the damn woods right now.
They might be.
And if you find it, I still want them. Because I got the refund, but I was really hoping I bought them on like the Black Friday deals and Cyber Monday, and I didn't get my damn ladder or my vacuum cleaner. I'm just saying.
You know, you hear about the porch pirates stealing packages. This guy's not even delivering. No. He's like, man, I got to get home. I got a wife and kids. I got to get home. Let me just back this up and dump it so I can return with an empty truck. That's absolutely crazy.
Hey, that's how it goes.
Well, I think we're done with another episode. Stay tuned next week. Excited to be talking more college football playoffs, talking NFL playoffs, what's going on, and
Yeah, and as you can see, I put down my tally marks for the amount of curse words that I was available today. And,
I think we smooth it over enough in the HR world.
Yeah, just got to make sure I got to watch the P's and Q's. And but yeah, it's stressful not being here, Bill.
I hear you. It's stressful not having you too.
So anyway, that wraps it up. I want to thank our sponsor, Cabin Coffee Altoona, located at 2922 Meadowlark Lane.
And Pizza Del Rey, located at 911 South Hastings Way in Eau Claire.
Have a good day, folks. Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you for listening to another episode of 217 South Mills.
If you like what you heard, smash the like and follow buttons on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and X.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Cabin Coffee Altoona. Tune in next time, folks.